Only by working together can we bring about lasting change for the generations to come. Because I truly believe
nothing could prepare the world for what King Charles was about to do. When he stepped forward that morning, there was no hesitation in his voice, no flicker of doubt in his eyes. Surrounded by royal advisors, political figures, and global dignitaries, he took a breath and spoke the words that would tear through the fabric of the monarchy. Catherine, Princess of Wales, will now be Queen. The silence that followed was deafening. Eyes widened, jaws dropped, and within seconds, the internet caught fire. There was no sign of Camilla by his side, no familiar smile, no subtle glance for approval. She was gone, physically absent, and symbolically erased. This was not a transition. It was a crown heist in plain sight. For years, Camilla had slowly built her image from scandal to queen consort. She had stood beside Charles through storms of criticism and the icy glares of a public still haunted by Diana's memory. But now, in a move that defied decades of royal order, she had been quietly pushed aside, and taking her place was a woman the public had already crowned in their hearts long ago, Kate Middleton. Across palace corridors and digital timelines, the backlash was swift, but so was the celebration. While supporters of Camilla cried betrayal, royalists loyal to Kate erupted with joy. The people's queen, they called her, a fresh chapter. But beneath the cheers and the outrage was a deeper truth, a truth that exposed more than just royal favoritism. It revealed an institutional pivot, a monarchy desperately trying to survive a modern world it no longer fully understands. Because this moment wasn't just about a woman taking a title, it was about a system being rewritten from the top down. Even the king's own inner circle seemed divided. Some applauded his bravery. Others questioned the wisdom of breaking ranks with centuries of royal succession. But Charles was unmoved. This wasn't about pleasing tradition. It was about preserving the crown in the only way it might still matter to a disenchanted nation. In choosing Kate, he wasn't just choosing a queen. He was choosing a future that felt human, compassionate, and maybe, just maybe, capable of reconnecting with a public that had grown tired of royal distance. As journalists scrambled for statements, and commentators dissected every syllable of the king's address, a silent storm brewed behind palace gates. A storm not of lightning or thunder, but of whispered betrayals, quiet power plays, and unfinished rivalries. Camilla, now out of sight, was far from out of mind. And the question that no one dared ask aloud now loomed large in every corner of the kingdom. Was this the beginning of a new era? Or the ignition of a royal war? But how did this seismic decision come to life? The clues were hidden behind palace doors. The decision to elevate Kate Middleton wasn't born from public demand or media momentum. It was born in silence, cultivated in secrecy, and executed with surgical precision behind palace walls. Long before King Charles ever addressed the nation, long before Camilla realized she was being quietly repositioned, there were whispers. Whispers among the king's most trusted advisors. Whispers that questioned not just the monarchy's survival, but its soul. At the heart of those whispered strategies was a name that had steadily become the monarchy's greatest asset. Catherine. Not by birthright, but by design. Sir Clive Alderton, Charles's longtime confidant, and one of the monarchy's most influential minds, had watched the tides turn. He understood the public's growing disillusionment with outdated figures, and he recognized something the others didn't dare say aloud. Camilla's acceptance was never complete. Her legacy, no matter how softened by time, was still laced with shadows from the past. In contrast, Kate represented something untarnished, a clean slate, a modern monarch in waiting with none of the baggage, none of the controversy, only rising public devotion and an unshakable image of grace. What the world didn't see was that this transformation was orchestrated over years. Queen Elizabeth, Orchestrating. Ever the strategist, had already begun her quiet mentorship of Kate. Unlike Camilla, who had fought for approval, Kate was shaped for it. There were private audiences, off-the-record lessons in diplomacy, subtle cues on how to handle the press, and carefully timed public appearances. The late queen didn't announce her plans, but she made them obvious to those paying close attention. With each charitable engagement and polished statement, Catherine was being slowly built into a symbol, the monarchy's future, cloaked in the appearance of tradition. At the same time, internal advisors began drawing lines. Meetings were held, closed-door discussions focused not on policy, but on perception. Royal image architects studied Kate's growing popularity, particularly among younger generations. Every smile, every headline, every philanthropic milestone was leveraged to craft a queen the people would not just accept, but defend. Meanwhile, Camilla's narrative was gently rewritten. She was framed as supportive, loyal, but background. A consort, not a crown bearer. This wasn't character assassination. It was controlled distancing. A silent strategy to clear the path for someone else without ever declaring a conflict. Behind the facade of unity, comparisons brewed. Kate's loyalty to royal duty had never wavered. Her silence in moments of chaos was perceived as strength. Camilla's past, however reformed, still felt controversial. It was clear, where Camilla had earned tolerance, Kate had earned adoration. And those in the palace who understood the stakes knew that adoration was more valuable than protocol. A shift was coming not in law, but in influence. As the weight of legacy pressed down on the crown, the court's decision wasn't just about who would wear it. It was about who could carry it without cracking. The answer, for the new generation of royals, was no longer Camilla. It was Kate. As the old guard faded, a new face emerged to carry the crown, and not everyone was ready for her. Camilla waited nearly a lifetime for the crown that was once impossible. She endured whispers, headlines, and decades of disdain to finally be accepted, if not adored. The title of Queen Consort was not handed to her. It was clawed through scandal, sorrow, and relentless scrutiny. But just when it seemed she had finally secured her place at the heart of the monarchy, Kate Middleton stepped into the light. Not with arrogance, not with fanfare, but with a presence so commanding, it made Camilla's hard-won position feel instantly fragile. It wasn't just about titles anymore. The public saw something they couldn't ignore. With every appearance, Kate evoked memories of another woman who had once held the nation in her palm, Diana. The comparisons came swiftly and brutally. The posture, the poise, the compassion. Kate wasn't just her own woman, she was the echo of the people's princess, modernized for a new age. And that terrified Camilla, because no matter how far she'd come, Diana's ghost was still there. And now, Kate was wearing her halo. Behind closed doors, their relationship was cold at best, calculated at worst. Camilla, though publicly cordial, never truly embraced the idea of mentoring Kate. There were no warm exchanges of advice, no shared moments of royal sisterhood. Instead, insiders whispered of passive-aggressive tension, snubbed invitations, cold silences, forced smiles at official events. Camilla had once imagined shaping the monarchy's future by guiding the next queen. But in Kate, she saw not a student, but a rival. One the public had already chosen. Even as Camilla stood beside King Charles at state dinners and international engagements, she couldn't ignore how conversations drifted toward Kate. Her causes,
but is
her
Camilla
elegance,
willing
her
to
every
watch?
move
Could this be the
was
moment the crown
headline-worthy.
changes hands?
Camilla remained the queen by title, but in influence, in affection.
As
in the
Kate
eyes of the
rises
people,
with grace,
Kate was
strength
already
into a
ascending.
brand new era.
And that imbalance cut deep. Years of loyalty to Charles, years of standing in Diana's shadow, seemed
King
to
Charles
vanish under
III
the
made a
brightness of
huge
Kate's
surprise
image.
announcement that
Resentment
Princess
quietly
Kate would
brewed.
become the queen.
Not the loud, visible kind, but the kind that simmers beneath every gesture. Camilla began stepping back just slightly.
We're watching
Less warmth in
closely.
interviews,
King Charles
less
spoke with
visibility.
confidence. This
Not
slide,
because she was defeated, but because she was drowning in a narrative she couldn't control. She had once imagined this would be her time, but now that time felt stolen. Kate hadn't
as the
asked
royal
for the
family
crown.
stood
She
together
simply
with their
earned it by
advisors,
being
and
everything
everyone was
Camilla
shocked
could
by his
never fully
unexpected
become.
words.
And when Queen Elizabeth's secret plan was finally revealed, it shattered any illusion of
The
peace.
decision
Before
wasn't
she
made
passed,
quickly or
Queen
without
Elizabeth
thought.
had already
Kate's
chosen
well-known
her future
reputation
queen.
as a
And it
loved and
wasn't
loyal
Camilla.
member of the royal
That truth,
family.
quiet but resolute, lived in the silence of private conversations and the weight of subtle gestures.
Seemed to strongly
For all the public
influence their
honors Camilla
advice,
received,
even though
for all
Camilla
the
has made
appearances
great
she made at the
strides in her
queen's
public
side,
role.
There, was an invisible thread being woven elsewhere. A thread that connected the monarchy's storied past to the woman who would quietly carry
Along with
its
Charles's
future,
personal
Catherine,
assistants,
the Princess
these
of Wales.
insiders helped him understand
Long
what could
before
happen
King
if
Charles
Kate's
made any
role
official
was
announcement,
changed.
Queen Elizabeth had already begun preparing Kate for something far greater than mere ceremonial
Some
duty.
people still
The public
believe
saw
it's hard to
grace,
change how the
composure,
public
and elegance,
feels. Public
but
focus
behind
away
closed
from
doors,
Camilla's past
the late Queen
issues
saw a legacy worth shaping. It began with informal meetings,
made her a great
disguised
choice
as
for
casual
such an
tea
important
sessions at
role,
Kensington
have made
Palace.
her a
But
modern and
those
fresh
afternoon
face for
visits
the
weren't
monarchy.
just warm family moments. They were quiet, mentoring sessions.
When King
filled with
Charles
history,
announced this decision
strategy,
and
the
being
burden
kind,
of a crown.
Kate has always shown
Kate
these
listened.
values.
The Queen observed, and slowly, a plan unfolded.
This
One
change
that
could help
bypassed
Camilla
tradition in
improve how
favor of
people see her.
longevity.
It was
While
expected
Camilla
that
had
she would
spent
take
years
on a
building her
quieter
role
role.
beside Charles, Kate was being nurtured to stand on her own. When Queen Elizabeth awarded
Even
her
though
the Dane
Camilla
Grand
would no
Cross
longer
of the
be
Royal
Queen
Victorian
Consort,
Order, it wasn't just a royal honor, it was a signal.
Some
A
people were
powerful
happy about
message
the
dressed in
change, who
formality.
had slowly earned
That gesture
respect from the
was
public.
the Queen's way of saying, "This is the one."
While Kate
She's
is loved
ready.
for her hard
It
work
was a
and
move
dedication,
made with care,
on the other hand,
not
strong
cruelty,
supporters
but
of
its meaning
Camilla.
didn't go unnoticed, especially by those who had spent years earning their place beside
How will
the
this
throne.
affect the royal family and
Princess
how they
Anne
work
would later
together?
reveal what many suspected,
And people are
but
curious
never
about
dared
how this
say
will
out
affect
loud.
not just her,
Queen
but the whole
Elizabeth
royal
had long
family.
envisioned Kate as the figurehead of a modern monarchy. Not a consort clinging to legacy, but a queen ushering in change. And while Anne's words were delivered with measured respect, the implications were impossible
Seeing
to
the
ignore.
decision as a reward
Camilla
for
was
all
never
her hard
meant to
work
carry
over the years.
the crown into the future. Kate was. That revelation didn't just
Has led
stir
many
the
to
public.
talk about whether she is
It
ready for
devastated
such an
Camilla.
important position.
For Camilla,
Kate becoming
the
queen
betrayal
is a big
ran
change
deep. She
and
had
fit
walked
into
through
royal
fire
life.
for her place, stood in the shadow of Diana's ghost, endured a nation's judgment, and now,
Camilla
in
may
the
need to
twilight
find a
of her
new
journey,
role for
she
herself to
realized
keep her place
she
in the
was never
family
truly the end game. She wasn't the
without
final
causing
chapter.
problems in the
She
new
was
royal
merely
order.
the transition. And no public display, no carefully curated
Questions are
praise
arising
could
about
mask
how
the
this will
sting of
affect
being
the royal
passed over
hierarchy.
in favor of the woman who had once been deemed a commoner. Camilla's composure
King
held,
Charles will need to
but
put in
behind
extra
palace
effort.
doors, the damage was done. Her trust, already fragile, began to fracture. Because this wasn't just about a title, it was about truth. And in that truth, she saw everything she had fought for slowly slipping from her grasp. But the public didn't wait for a royal decree to choose their queen. They already had. She never met Diana, but she walks in her footsteps. Kate didn't inherit the title. She earned it. When she stepped into the role of Princess of Wales, it wasn't just a royal formality. It was a public reckoning. The crown didn't descend quietly. It arrived with expectation, weight, and memory. For many, Diana was the last true princess. And yet, here was Kate, carrying that same grace, that same compassion, and somehow, against all odds, awakening a legacy that never truly died. The public didn't need time to adjust. They had already chosen her. Every gesture, every speech, every quiet act of service had built Kate's image not as a royal relic, but as a living, breathing connection to the people. When she embraced the Princess of Wales title, she wasn't stepping into Diana's shoes. She was walking beside the memory, and the people noticed. The outpouring of affection wasn't orchestrated. It was instinctive. Because where tradition had often felt cold and distant, Kate brought warmth. Where hierarchy created walls, she offered a door. Charity visits weren't performances. They were purpose. Like Diana, she didn't just raise awareness, she showed up, listened, and felt. Mental health, children's development, early education. These weren't check marks on a royal list. They were causes she fought for. And as she quietly wove herself into the fabric of everyday lives, the nation began to see her not as a symbol, but as one of them, a mother, a wife, a woman rising through grace, not status. And with every step she took, the comparisons to Diana grew louder, not because she tried to imitate her, but because she embodied the same spirit in a new, modern light. The contrast with Camilla became unavoidable. While Kate's star continued to rise, Camilla began to retreat from the spotlight. Public engagements once filled with fanfare grew quieter. Her appearances felt more obligatory than inspired. And slowly, a gap widened not just between two women, but between two versions of what royalty could be. One shaped by endurance, the other shaped by connection. Camilla, forever burdened by the past, seemed to fade into the background as Kate emerged as the future. A future rooted not in protocol, but in authenticity. What made it more striking was how effortless it all seemed. Kate didn't need to force her presence. She simply became necessary. To the charities she championed, to the institutions she humanized, and to a public desperate for something real. She was no longer just the wife of a future king, she had become a bridge between monarchy and modernity. And for the first time in years, people dared to believe that royalty could once again matter, not because of power, but because of purpose. But can Kate's modern approach really heal the cracks in the royal foundation? The throne is more than a title. It's a test. And Kate is being tested in front of the world. Her every move is dissected, her every word weighed, not only against expectations, but against ghosts, against rivals, and against centuries of tradition. As the news of her ascent spread, the kingdom didn't simply unite in admiration, it fractured. One half crowned her in their hearts. The other questioned whether a crown, even unofficial, should be passed without the full measure of time, lineage, and royal right. Queen Kate trended like a coronation anthem, but right beside it, another hashtag gained traction. Team Camilla, a digital rebellion against what some saw as betrayal masked as progress. Political commentators joined the fray, not with flattery, but with hard questions. Had the monarchy abandoned its own rules to save its image? Was Kate truly chosen, or was she strategically placed? Analysts on both sides drew battle lines. One camp called her the necessary evolution, a queen for the digital age, for a public no longer interested in pomp without purpose. The other saw her rise as dangerous precedent, a populist wave threatening the institution's core foundation. This wasn't just about two women. It was about everything the crown symbolized: legacy, continuity, authority. And suddenly, all three were on the table, being renegotiated in real time. At the center of it all stood King Charles, silent. Not indifferent, but deliberate. His refusal to comment only fueled speculation. Was he conflicted? Was he retreating? Or was he silently orchestrating a transition he couldn't yet admit? Behind that silence, the royal court became a chessboard. Two households, Kate's and Camilla's, each with their own loyal advisors, publicists, and narratives. The war wasn't waged in public speeches, but in headlines, leaks, and calculated appearances. Camilla, though technically still queen consort, appeared less and less. Kate, though not yet crowned, was everywhere the people looked. Fairness became the center of every conversation. Was Camilla being erased after earning her place through decades of devotion? Or was Kate finally stepping into the role she had been quietly groomed for all along? Supporters on both sides cited loyalty, sacrifice, image, and duty as their arguments. But none of it could drown out the growing sense that a line had been crossed, and the monarchy could never go back. And yet, beneath the glittering debate, beneath the hashtags and headlines, there was something deeper happening. A quiet unraveling, not of titles or traditions, but of relationships strained, bruised, and on the verge of breaking. Because behind every royal reshuffle lies a deeper, more personal storm brewing. This isn't just about crowns. It's about identity, sacrifice, and heartbreak behind palace walls. The world sees smiles, ceremonies, and carefully chosen words. But hidden behind those gilded doors is a reality no royal can escape the crushing weight of being replaced. For Camilla, that moment didn't come with fanfare. It came in whispers, in empty schedules, and in the echo of cheers not meant for her. The woman who had once clawed her way from scandal to sovereignty now found herself quietly unraveling under the weight of Kate's unstoppable rise. And according to palace insiders, Camilla broke down, not just once, repeatedly, alone in rooms where once she had stood with pride. At Balmoral, where the royals traditionally find privacy, tensions boiled over in silence. What was supposed to be a retreat turned into an unspoken reckoning, a gathering that laid bare the family's fractures. Behind closed doors, voices were hushed, but hearts were loud. William stood firm by Kate's side, while Charles, torn between love and legacy, could no longer pretend nothing was changing. He had built his reign with Camilla at his side, but the people were looking elsewhere, and so was the future. Balmoral became the stage for what no press release could admit. The royal family was in emotional crisis, and through it all, Kate never flinched. She didn't retaliate. She didn't gloat. She remained calm, composed, focused not on titles, but on duty. That quiet strength, so often mistaken for compliance, became her greatest power. She carried the storm, not with defiance, but with dignity. And that only widened the gap. Camilla, once the anchor at Charles's side, now felt like a drifting figure in her own narrative. Her relevance shrinking with every adoring headline Kate received. Every gesture of support from the public became another reminder of what she couldn't reclaim. The emotional fallout didn't stop with Camilla and Charles. It spilled into the extended branches of the royal family. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, long caught between loyalty to their father and their place in the firm, felt the shift, too. Their roles, already uncertain, now floated further into the periphery. They watched a new royal order forming, one that left less and less room for those without favor or function. The palace was changing, and not everyone knew where they belonged anymore. Behind the perfection of royal protocol were real people breaking beneath the surface. And as Camilla retreats into the shadows, one question lingers in every corner of Britain. A monarchy reborn. A queen chosen by the people. The Kate era isn't coming, it's already here. Not by proclamation, not by law, but by presence. By power. By the kind of quiet influence that doesn't need a crown to command attention. While the past clings to tradition, Kate walks boldly into the future, not as an outsider looking in, but as the figure redefining what royalty even means. Alongside William, she's not just part of the monarchy's evolution, she is the evolution. Together, they've stepped beyond titles and palace walls, building something the modern world didn't think royalty could offer: relevance. Gone are the days when the crown sat high above the people. Kate has brought it down to eye level, through open conversations about mental health, early childhood development, addiction, and military family support. She's done something revolutionary. She's made royalty relatable. She doesn't rule from a distance. She connects. She listens. She reflects the nation's struggles with a kind of empathy that feels more personal than political. The shift isn't subtle, it's seismic. Because for the first time in generations, the British public doesn't just respect a royal figure. They trust her. And nowhere is this more evident than in the response from young people. Gen Z, often indifferent to aristocracy, have found something magnetic in Kate. They see her as real, a working mother, a woman who doesn't shy away from public duty, yet still embodies grace without detachment. She isn't trying to revive a dying institution. She's remodeling it, stone by stone, with values that resonate far beyond British borders. The old rules of reverence have been replaced by something more powerful: authentic admiration. And that change is rippling outward. Globally, her influence is impossible to ignore. From her diplomatic visits to her humanitarian campaigns, Kate is more than a figurehead. She's a force. Her work doesn't end with photo ops. It turns into policy discussions, funding for programs, and long-term initiatives that make real-world impact. Whether it's supporting the mental health of frontline workers or launching platforms for child development research, she has made the monarchy matter again, not by demanding attention, but by earning it. And now, as she stands on the threshold of what many believe is inevitable, one final question hangs in the air. Can she lead where others fell? Can she sustain a public love that has burned so brightly, so early? Diana's memory is both a blessing and a burden, and Camilla's journey a cautionary tale. But Kate has carved out her own path, one not built on replacing the past, but on rising from it. She has not dethroned anyone. She simply stepped forward when the world asked who should lead next. So, do you think Kate was destined to wear the crown all along? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.